All right, hello and welcome to the 2026 Fortinet Founders Cup. I'm joined here by Lydia Ko. Lydia just got off from the Pro-Am here. Can you just talk about being here this week in San Francisco and what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, it's obviously been a few years since the LPGA has been back in the Bay Area, so it's exciting. Personally, I've been on tour for 13 years now, so it's nice to come to a new location, a golf course that we've never played at before, and it just makes it a bit more exciting as if, I'm a rookie back to those times again. So, yeah, it's been a great few days. We've got unbelievable weather, almost like borderline too hot right now. So it's I think it's going to be an exciting week ahead. And Fortinet has really deep dive gone into sports and, women's golf and golf in general. So it's been, I think, a really big step for our tour and in the partnership with Fortinet.
And can you speak a little bit too on the course, what you're seeing when you're out there, and what stands out in particular about Sharon Heights?
Yeah, I played here for the first time last week for an unofficial practice round, and it was a lot. There was a little bit more moisture then than now, and just with the weather being pretty warm, the golf course has dried out. It's almost like in a valley. This course reminds me of a couple other golf courses like in the area as well. And I think because of that, some greens are a little bit softer, some are a little firmer when they're higher up. So yeah, I think we also just need to adjust with how the weather is going to affect the golf course. The back nine plays a little longer than the front, so I think you really have to take advantage of the shorter side, which is the front side.
Yeah. And this event, too, has such a strong presence of the founders and what they mean to the LPGA. As a Hall of Fame member, can you just speak to the founders' legacy and what it kind of means to you in particular?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to meet a few of the founders when I first came out on tour. It was, I think, always a treat, when we played in Arizona and they would be sitting in the chairs, especially on the weekend, and to see them, I felt like there was a bit more of a connection with me and the tour just through them. And we know that, without their courage, with their 13 ladies back then, there would be no now, and not to the extent it is, it already is. We just had our 75th year anniversary of the LPGA, and it's, golf started as a men's game, as a men's sport. So to see how much it has grown, and in that era for them to come out and pretty much play for nothing and play because they love the competition, and they really laid out the foundations, and we can only thank them for what they've done, and also the pioneers that have kind of gone, that are the generations behind them, because without the start and the people in the middle, there would be no now. And I think years down the road, we're probably going to be the pioneers 20, 30 years and for the next generations. So I think it's as players, that are competing on tour right now, it's our duty to kind of carry that founder spirit and think about not only us, but what they've done to give us this kind of opportunity and make our dreams come true, and think about that for the multiple generations that are coming up behind us.
And speaking of pioneers, too, Julie and Meg are going to be honored this week as pioneers. What is your kind of relationship to them, and what has it been like to watch them to step into this kind of other role they have?
They're definitely like the cool aunt because of the age, but I would like to say more like cool sisters at the same time. I've got to spend a little bit of time with them, and especially Julie, and I'm like, man, I wish my mom was that cool. My mom's cool, but Julie's super cool. And I just love them. Every time I play well or don't play well, Meg and Julie have always been there to kind of give me advice, the right advice that was needed at the time. So they're always a bunch of joy to see, and obviously we don't get to see them very much now. So I'm excited to see them, but yeah, I'm very grateful that I think golf touches a lot of people. Not only the people that are playing on tour right now, but the generations that was there before us, and especially someone like a Julie who was still playing on tour when I first came on tour. So it's I think golf really connects a lot of people and brings a lot of people together, and I think this tournament symbolizes that. And without people like Julie and Meg, there wouldn't be me or even the generations behind me, the juniors that are taking up the sport. So even though I'm not American, I always look up to them, and I'm very thankful for all they do for me personally, and but for the tour, and I'm excited to see them, and no one more deserving than Meg and Julie for sure.
And then last question for me, and I'll open it up. You also referenced kind of the new generation as well. We have several rookies here this week making their first or second starts out on the LPGA Tour. Have you been able to talk to them all? Have any approached you about anything? And is there any advice too you would kind of give them looking back to your rookie years?
Yeah, I played with Ingrid and a player called Emma yesterday, and that was really fun. I was like, man, I wish I could swing it like her. She hits it far, has a beautiful swing. But like just being on the practice facilities, obviously here it's a little bit more condensed, where the putting green and the driving range is literally right next to each other. So there's been like a lot of faces that I'm like, oh, I wonder who she is, and there's been a lot of new faces, and so I'm excited to throughout the season to get to know a few of them better. And the last couple of years we've noticed that rookies are not so rookies. They're very good. A lot of first-time winners. Very competitive for the Rookie of the Year. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I love that our field is getting more and more diverse. It's not the same 50 or 100 faces that we usually see, and I think that's going to be great for the growth of golf. And yeah, it's very impressive. It's hard to, like, yes, the experience of my 13 years is something that no one can take away from me. It's very valuable, but the new up and coming players, the players that are just graduating high school and going from junior golf straight to pro, or coming from collegiate golf, they're all very good. So it's the experience is a little different, but I think the skill set, like it's really hard to say that they're not as good as somebody that's been on tour longer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll open it up now if there's any questions.
Lydia, you pretty much reside here now. How important it is, can you film that? Sorry. Excuse me. But how important is it to you to just to have an LPGA event here in the Bay Area?
I actually, it's almost been 3 to 4 months since I've been back in this area. So I've been spending more time at home in Florida. But yeah, it's been good to be back. Obviously, see a lot of familiar faces. It's like San Francisco has been a spot where I've come in and out just because of private reasons. But yeah, it's I've always loved playing at Lake Merced. A little biased because I won there like 3 times. So, I'm all for playing, in the Bay Area. Obviously here it's a lot warmer. So, I'm excited to be here. And, I think San Francisco as a city, and the Bay Area as a whole, it's such a great location. You're only a couple hours away from Napa, Monterey, and then a few more to Tahoe. So I think it's a great place for the tour to come, and I think there's obviously a lot of things going on here, and just with our partners Fortinet from being here, it's just kind of all made sense. And hopefully this tournament will be something we'll be here to stay in for a while and make history here, and which I'm sure will impact the growth of golf in Northern California. And I think Astros Talley is from Northern California as well. So hopefully we'll be able to see more and more players like her, up and coming, that will play this event in the future as well.
All right, on the right here.
Hi, Lydia. a lot of the reason that you've had the career that you've had is because you have the skill set to really plot it around a golf course. How often do you make strategic mistakes, or what you would consider strategic mistakes, in a round?
Hopefully not often. And if I do, not repeat it. That would be the second thing. I think at the end of the day, everybody makes mistakes. Even in like Singapore, Thailand, I'll take on a shot that I thought would be an advantage by being a bit more aggressive, but then I'll come off thinking, man, if I just laid up, I would have probably at worst made bogey or something. So, I still think that we all make mistakes. It's about, I think, if you do make a mistake, don't let that carry on until the next one. And then if you are in a similar circumstance, try and not repeat that mistake and learn from your mistakes. And I think that's what you just become slowly better at, just being on tour a little bit more. But if I told you I don't make any mistakes anymore, I'd be lying. And I wish that was the case, but I also think I learn the most when I am put in those kind of situations. But yeah, unfortunately happens a little bit more frequently than I would like, would be the best way to put that. Yeah.
If I can follow up quickly, how has that changed from when the time you came out, when you were stacking up wins, stacking up majors, to now as a different type of player over the years? How has your strategy changed?
Yeah, I think there is a very fine line, because when you first come on tour, you're almost naive to everything. And you don't have like the scar tissue from golf and like playing out there and playing a full schedule. You probably grew up not having as many lows as you think. And then you come on tour and you experience this, that, and everything really. So I think when you're younger, you're a little bit more fearless in the sense of like, you don't think, oh, that could equal this potentially in the bad outcome. You're just out there free, just trusting yourself and just going out there and be like, oh, well, that wasn't good. But then which I think is good, because you play with a little bit more freedom and you hit a lot of good shots then. But then the experience now, I think I'm able to handle the bad situations a lot better. And like, if I am nervous, just kind of take that more in and not think of it as like I'm trying to fight it. I can't fight the wind. I can't fight spectators. I can't fight, having nerves, but I can handle those things better. So it is different in that sense. I think when you're young, like you have more freedom because you don't know also what's on the other side. But now, having experienced both sides of the rainbow, it still sucks when you play bad. I mean, if anybody says otherwise, they're lying, because I still want to play well. I want to excel at what I do. I want to compete at a very high level. But sometimes it just really doesn't go my way, and I try and not let that dictate my mood the rest of the day. But it's like a completely different character in a game. But I think all of those fearless moments and some of my scar tissue from golf and overcoming that makes me the player I am today. And the player that I am, a year from now is going to be a little bit differently too. So Stacey Lewis once told me that, like, I think in like 2017 or 18, I was struggling, and she was like, don't try to be the person that I was when I was number one in 2015 or 16. And I think that was just the perfect way to put, like, I'm never going to be that same person, and all I can do is be the best person and best player I am in the present. And I think her saying that to me was like a wake-up call. Yeah.
All right, I just have one last fun question. Was Kai able to make the trip?
Yes, he is here. He is at a doggy daycare. Honestly, this guy lives the best life out of all of us. I made, like, after I came back from Singapore, I made him like food, and I had to tell my husband, the food in that pot is not yours. It's Kai's. So whether he knows it or not, but he lives a great life. and he better know because I invest a lot in him. I have joked that post-retirement I might go into like dog agency and open up his Instagram. But for now, it's hard to manage mine. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
thank you.